You're not only embodying and living it, but you're demonstrating to the rest of the company at the same time when you get rid of a number two producer. You're like,
Mhm.
this is how important this culture is. You've just made a massive statement. What's it like to you in terms of practically, how does this impact day to day?
Yeah, I think from the day to day, it's how you show up. Your culture is how you show up, how you ask your people to show up, what you stand for. And I think before you were talking about like the PhD and the cycle of how it affects the experience to the customer. And when I think that I'm up funnel, Dan's down funnel, and then there goes around after the sales and back to marketing. When you think about the customer, you want your people who live and breathe your core values to be in front of your customers. You want to make sure that they are speaking on behalf of your company. They're speaking on behalf of me, Dan, our CEO, when they're talking about any conversation they're having. So you need to be particular around who you want those people to be, and they need to know what key factor stands for and what we don't stand for and why we are doing the things we're doing and being able to explain that to a customer in an appropriate way. I would say from Dan's example, Dan and I have to lead by example and we have to lead through our core values. And so he had some very, I would say, cutthroat examples of how that's the hard part of it. And then there's the nice and sweet part about it, where the times where we do get to promote within, and these are the stewards of our business. And because they've shown, and I think even on our review cycle, Dan, like when we go to our 360s, like it's around someone's performance, but there's a giant section around how they show up and live and breathe. And we have to go back and recall examples and really rate them on, I think, a 1 to 5 and how they show up to all of our core values. And so that's the joy, I would say, on the part of the more you can get your people to instill what it takes to continue to grow within the company and also be conduit of the core values, then you start getting more like people who are doing more of the same things and living and breathing what we're doing. And I think that ultimately, although I'm not necessarily customer facing in most of my role, that the people, they're the ones we want on the front lines. And Dan, your team is all on the front lines speaking to future customers. And so we need to make sure that they're representing the business and they're doing it in the way that we want them to. Otherwise, it's a poor reflection on all of us.
So you said a lot of really important things there, but you actually use your core values in your culture and you rate and you hold people accountable. Did I take that away correct?
That is absolutely correct.
How does that look? What does that look like on a regular basis?
On an annual basis when we do our review cycles. But we also, I'm trying to think, Dan, other places where we have the key factor contributor with the monthly employee awards where we nominate people who embody the core values and do the great performers. And I believe it's changed over time. And that's the one thing about culture is it's fluid. It's not static. And Dan talks about how the people here created our values. We've also evolved our values as this business is changing and how we've gone through M&A. And it's not just what our CEO says. We vote on, do we still believe we're here? Do we need to add another value? We've added a value to our core value set since I've been here. So I forget the point I was making, but I think that what I'd like to share is that it evolves and that it's through the review cycle and it's through the monthly, how we recognize top performers and talent across the business at our monthly all hands, where a lot of people get to nominate people on their team that they feel are high performers. And it gets back to a group of, I think, ELC members and a large group where we vote on who we feel should be the key contributor of the month. So it comes out in many different ways over time.